Hello my good friends, I hope you're all doing fine. My name is Jesse, and in this video we're going to be talking about Apocalymon, a Digimon I've wanted to discuss a while ago but didn't feel confident enough in my skills as a Digimon researcher, so I took some time until I was a bit more sure of myself. Let me tell you already that I have multiple reasons for wanting to discuss this Digimon. And the main reason would be that this Digimon is extremely powerful. In fact, so powerful that you should already know it wasn't done justice in Digimon Adventure when it was killed. Apocalymon is like the character Madara Uchiha from the Naruto franchise, a character so powerful that the developers didn't exactly know how to write it off, leading to many fans being disappointed, and Apocalymon is actually no different. I do admit that there is a part in myself that would love to see evil win in anime or in movies or whatever when it makes sense, and when I like the character more than the main character. And if it were to be defeated, then by the love of God, make it make sense. Anyway, when we are talking about Apocalymon, we are talking about an unidentified Digimon that is a combination of a humanoid on top of a Polyhedron. And mind you, the Polyhedron is huge, easily reaching at least 240 feet or 73 meters, and it looks very solid. The Polyhedron doesn't look like something that can get destroyed easily. So, Apocalymon is the combination of a humanoid on the Polyhedron, but when we're looking at what Apocalymon embodies, that's when you should understand that we're talking about a totally different class of creature. Its name is a reference to the apocalypse, and in the biblical book of Revelations, it means the total destruction of the world as prophesied. By the final book, the earth suffers 7 plagues, from disease to intense heat and drought. Then finally a shower of deadly hailstones. And then comes the apocalypse, the final judgment of man and the destruction of the world by fire. But the end of the apocalypse leaves us with a renewed world where injustice is gone, humanity is united in self-sacrificial love, and creation is cared for. Just like how the apocalypse was prophesied, Apocalymmon's arrival was also foreseen in ancient prophecies written in ancient texts. You see, Apocalymon was formed from Digimon doomed to death by natural evolution. It was born from the feelings of jealousy and hatred belonging to Digimon who died during Digivolution. And now, it wants to make the digital and real world into living underworlds to justify the darkness that composes it. As a side note, this aspect of Digivolution is something extremely important to know. Not only is digivolving a process that takes a lot of time and experience, which is why only a sparse number of Digimon are capable of reaching their final form, but digivolving is also a process that can kill. And considering how powerful Apocalymon is, while also taking into account what it represents, meaning the apocalypse, we can assume that many Digimon did in fact perish during Digivolution. We may be talking about Digimon evolving from Rookie to Champion or even from Ultimate to Mega. All their death gave birth to Apocalymon. To add more to it, in the Japanese version, Apocalymon refers to itself in the plural sense, as it claimed to be possessed by a multitude of demons acting as a gestalt, as an organized whole that is perceived as more than the sum of its parts. Regardless of the trait it shows, it is clearly meant to be almost completely insane. So, Apocalymon is motivated by jealousy and despair. It is a creature formed from Digimon doomed to death by natural evolution, and very important, it is confined to an empty world of darkness, only able to watch as the reverse world, the world of light, gets to rejoice in happiness as it suffers. Cursing it, Apocalymon desires to rule over all the Digimon and the digital world and twist the world to fit itself and its darkness. Interestingly, Apocalymon itself was born beyond the Wall of Fire. We have already talked about the Wall of Fire, otherwise known as the Firewall. We talked about it when we discussed VOLCANICDRAMON. Link towards the video is in the description box. But suffice it to say that the Firewall is a defensive barrier that defends the net, and it is huge and nigh impenetrable. Only very few Digimon have been able to cross it. Greymon is one Digimon who also managed to get through. When Apocalymon passed through the wall at some point in the past, it caused major damage to the digital world. Its passage warped the fabric of time and space such that time ran much faster in the digital world than in the real world. Byproducts of the chaos Apocalymon had inflicted on the digital world would be the Dark Masters, a group consisting of Pythmon, MetalCdramon, MachineDramon, and Puppetmon. They fought the original Digidestined, whose Digimon digivolved into the Four Harmonious Ones, a group of mega-level Holy Beast Digimon who rule over the cardinal points of the compass and who preserve the balance inside the digital world. They were defeated and sealed away by each of the Dark Masters. So, there is so much that happened in the entirety of the digital world, so much despair and so much chaos, and all of that only because Apocalymon went through the firewall and simply existed. In terms of combat, I could imagine only a select few Digimon that could hope to face it, but even then I'd be very skeptical. Apocalymon can call forth an infinite darkness called the Darkness Zone. Anyone or anything caught in its wake is said to be consumed by the void and eventually reduced to nothing. This is already an impressive attack, but it is the least impressive attack of the most impressive attacks it has. Apocalymon has demonstrated the techniques of the evil Digimon who compose it. In other words, it used the attacks of Mephistomon, MYOTISMON, MachineDramon, Devimon, and Datamon. So we can assume that Apocalymon has some abilities to copy the techniques of others. This is insane, and let me tell you why. We have discussed many Digimon in this channel. We came across Digimon who can create pocket dimensions, Digimon who can absorb Digicores, Digimon who can create unbreakable shields, Digimon who literally can summon the power of creation and destruction, and if Apocalymon could copy that, like it did with the 5 other Digimon already, that should put it on a different league, because it puts its offensive arsenal already on a whole different scale, and we're not even done yet with what it can do. You see, the Polyhedron is not just a structure on which Apocalymon simply stands on, it is a weapon. And the multiple claws can be used for multiple stuff. If it so manages to capture a Digimon, it will force them to degenerate, reducing one's chances at winning even more. And there are at least 8 of those claws. Can you imagine that it could take years for a Digimon to digivolve only to have it de-digivolve by just one attack? That is actually crazy. Last and most deadliest move of Apocalymon, and probably also one of the deadliest moves of any Digimon inside the Digimon universe, is when it detonates the Polyhedron, which is also a giant bomb. I already said that it is 240 feet or 73 meters in height. So imagine something this big explodes. As is written in the description box, the force is enough to wipe out an entire dimension. Apocalymon literally has the power to destroy an entire dimension. So I think we can agree unanimously that, at least in terms of offensive powers, that this creature is top class. Now, long story short, the Digidestined still managed to defeat the creature, because of course they would. And yet Apocalymon is not entirely gone. This Digimon, just like MYOTISMON, who we discussed in its own video, link towards it is in the description box, has the ability to reincarnate itself by letting just parts of its data in the digital world. Let me explain. A bit of Apocalymons data found its way into the Digi-Egg that would later hatch into Mephistomon, and that bit of data would cause Mephistomon to become the source of an infection that caused many Digimon to go berserk and make them turn against friends or innocents. That bit of data would later be retrieved by Dark Genii, who planned to use it again but on Digimon of the likes of Demon and Diaboromon, so try to imagine what damage that would cause. Apocalymons data was also the source to create Mephistomon, an ultimate level evil Digimon and a dark area Digimon. Members of this family are generally evil or apocalyptic Digimon, or those who dwell in the dark area, an abyssal graveyard where Digimon are ultimately transmitted when their lifespan finishes. Mephistomon is a dark being born from the lingering thought data of an Apocalymon, and just like Apocalymon, its governing principle is the extermination of all life, and it has a special way of doing so. You see, Mephistomon, despite having an endlessly cruel personality, it is extremely intelligent and is also a tactician. We can presume that its idea to quickly exterminate all life is by being a servant for beings that are more powerful than itself. So Mephistomon serves Moon Millenniummon and was given the task to sacrifice weaker Digimon in order to resurrect its master. And Moon Millenniummon, suffice it to say that it is an evil god Digimon with the power to control time and space, and as it is a being consisting of a soul only and does not have actual substance, it is immune to all physical attacks, meaning that there are virtually no Digimon who are up to the task. Mephistomon's name is a reference to the demon Mephisto or Mephistopheles, a demon worker for Lucifer, either in search for men to corrupt or one who collects the souls of those who are already damned. Mephistomon's story is literally the same. Also, Mephistomon's design is based entirely on Baphomet, a deity incorporated into various occult and Western traditions. In modern day, Baphomet is one who most would identify as the goat of Satan and the symbol of the Church of Satan. Now, while Mephistomon takes more the role of a server, it still is one who is lethal in combat. It specializes in black magic. It can generate a cloud of darkness which causes everything to decay, and it can recite a dark incantation in which it prays for a festival of death. Those who hear the spell soon die. I find this way of attacking very interesting. Most Digimon either attack with the elements or with strong brute force. Mephistomon attacks mostly via sound waves, and its Digivolution, Golfmon, is the greatest on that front. It can cause a sullen voice to be heard singing out of nowhere, whose audience is said to soon die with their data never able to be restored. Or it can let out the sorrowful cries of the dead from its maw, which also brings death to all who hear it. I think I got a bit ahead of myself. I didn't even start by explaining who Golfmon is. Golfmon is a huge dark animal Digimon that emerged from the abyss of the dark area. Its large build is that of a demon beast. It is as immense as a mountain and it possesses sturdy limbs. Attached to its lower half is a maw that is large enough to swallow everything, and that maw is said to be connected to the abyss of the dark area. I believe that the maw is a reference to Hell Mouth, or the jaws of Hell, the entrance to Hell envisaged as the gaping mouth of a huge monster. It is said that those who are sucked inside Golfmon's maw have their souls smashed to pieces and are no longer able to escape. I find it interesting that Golfmon, despite being an offspring of Apocalymon, still has the wings of an angel, almost making it seem like it used to be a part of the Digimon angelic hierarchy, yet it has never been confirmed, and the likeliness of it truly being a former angel is quite low, I would say. I also like that its hands are almost like the claws on Apocalymon's Polyhedron, showing all the more that both are related. But unfortunately, Golfmon is a Digimon that wasn't explored that much despite having an interesting origin story which would lead it back to Apocalymon, who was literally the main villain of an entire Digimon season. But I hope that you would at least see the potential this Digimon has. Hi guys, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. As I've said previously, the Apocalymon DIGIVOLUTION line is also one of my favorites, but because it wasn't given that much substance by the Digimon developers, I fear that this video is about a solid wrap up of what the line has to offer. I still see Apocalymon as a Digimon with enormous potential in terms of story. Its birth is among the best stories. Its motivation to take over the real world and the digital world could also bring us to interesting stories and actually makes sense when you think of it. And its name is also one of the coolest names out there. So I'm hoping that we will get more of this line. Hopefully they will be more fleshed out. Especially Mephistomon and Golfmon, who can thank their entire existence to Apocalymon. So I'm going to have to ask you guys to share your opinions in the comment section. How do you view Apocalymon? How do you view its Digivolution line? Write as much as you can, and I would suggest to write well and elaborate it, because I have reason to believe that the Digimon developers are sort of ogling this channel. Anyway, I cannot stress enough guys, make sure to hit the like button. It's not that much work, it's just a click. To my surprise, the amounts of likes one can get is enough for the YouTube algorithm to send its good graces to the channel, so I hope I can count on your likes. Also make sure to subscribe if you want to see more Digimon related videos. In case you guys are new, know that all my videos are placed in various Digimon playlists which are always updated, that way you can catch up on newer and older videos.